Let's dive straight into this explainer with an incredible and honestly chilling account from the legendary writer Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. In his 1811 autobiography, Dichtung and Wahrheit, he documented a personal encounter where he saw a phantom figure riding toward him on horseback. The figure was wearing a very specific pike gray suit with gold trim. As soon as Goethe shook himself out of the daze, the figure vanished. But here's the part that's going to make the hair on your arms stand up. 8 years later, Goethe found himself riding down that exact same road wearing that exact same pike gray suit, which he had put on by pure accident. It's a deeply eerie encounter, and it perfectly sets the stage for history's most terrifying psychological mystery.
Anatomy of an apparition, the mystery of the doppelganger.
Section 1. The Phantom Double. Now, across completely disconnected cultures that had zero contact with one another, witnessing your exact double wasn't just considered an oddity, it was universally feared as a dark omen. And what's wild is that these encounters are reported with a near-identical structure all over the world. Typically, a figure is seen from behind, it turns to reveal the witness's own face, and then it vanishes right before a second witness can confirm it's there. In folklore, this supernatural phantom actively haunts you and is perceived as a direct harbinger of death.
We really have to draw a hard line here between reality and the paranormal. It's totally vital to separate the modern viral idea of twin strangers from the classic doppelganger. Real-world lookalikes are just physical human beings. They actually share remarkable genetic similarities and facial phenotypes with only modest differences in their microbiome. The true doppelganger, on the other hand, is a terrifying hallucinatory phantom that completely defies the laws of physics.
Section 2. Omens and Historical Hauntings. The historical paper trail of these encounters is incredibly unsettling. We already talked about Goethe in 1811. Well, by 1820, the English poet Percy Bysshe Shelley writes a drama explicitly referencing Zoroaster meeting his own image. 2 years later, Shelley actually claimed to have met his own doppelganger in Italy. And just days after having this horrifying vision, he tragically drowned. But it's not just writers. The private journals of massive historical figures, from Abraham Lincoln to Catherine the Great, all agree that this exact same thing happened to them right before moments of intense crisis.
Section 3. Phantasms and Psychical Research.
By 1886, a group known as the Society for Psychical Research, or the SPR, decided to systematically catalog this. Lead investigator Edmund Gurney published an enormous survey called Phantasms of the Living, compiling 702 independently collected case files that are still held at the SPR Archive in Cambridge today. But hidden away in those files is a subset of 34 cases where the double was witnessed simultaneously by a second person. Gurney actually flagged this corroboration rate in an unpublished appendix, noting that 2 people seeing the same ghost is structurally inconsistent with a purely subjective hallucination.
So, what on earth did they conclude? Well, Gurney hypothesized that these apparitions were not physical beings occupying physical space. Instead, he proposed they were complex mental images co-created by the subconscious minds of those involved via telepathic means. It was a desperate, early attempt to drag the phenomenon out of the supernatural and into the realm of the mind.
Section 4. The Neurology of Ghosts. Today, neurologists classify these terrifying experiences under a clinical umbrella called autoscopic phenomena. And get this, somewhere between 1% and 5% of adults report having had one of these experiences at least once. Our self-perception can break down in a few horrifying ways. There's the autoscopic hallucination, where you just see your double in space. Then there's autoscopy, where things get truly wild. You actually self-identify with the double, existing in 2 places at once. We also see the classic out-of-body experience. And finally, the feeling of presence, which is that distinct, overwhelming sensation that an invisible double is standing right beside you. So what is breaking down in the brain to cause all this? Well, a landmark 2001 University of Geneva neurological review by Peter Brugger in the journal Cognitive Neuropsychiatry pinpointed the culprit. He proposed that temporal lobe misfiring, specifically in the temporal parietal junction, or TPJ, is a complete explanation. The TPJ is the hub responsible for integrating all your bodily signals. When it misfires, your brain's ability to locate yourself in physical space just severely glitches. This model is accepted by most neurologists today. But the clinical reality of this breakdown gets so much weirder. In a 1948 Swiss neurological study, a physician named Oskar Pfister at the University of Zurich documented 6 clinical cases of autoscopy in patients with absolutely no psychiatric history. In his cases, the double was observed in locations the patient was provably not present. Pfister submitted his findings to the Schweizerische Medizinische Wochenschrift, but then he inexplicably withdrew the manuscript before publication. It was held under restricted access at the Zurich Transall-Bibliothek until 1983. When a partial transcription was finally revealed, it showed that in 3 of those cases, the double actually spoke words the patient later confirmed they had been thinking but had not said aloud. That's a detail completely absent from every published autoscopy study before or since.
Section 5. Recreating the uncanny.
If this really is just a glitch in how our brain integrates sensory data, we have to ask, can scientists trigger a doppelganger on demand? The answer is yes. Researcher Olaf Blanc successfully induced the terrifying feeling of presence in healthy volunteers. They blindfolded a subject and had them move a robotic arm in front of them, while a secondary robot delivered touches on their back with a slight time delay. The brain couldn't reconcile the movement with the delayed touch, so the subjects reported an eerie presence standing right behind them. They literally built a ghost in a lab.
And this neurological glitch actually maps perfectly onto psychology. Sigmund Freud's 1919 essay on the uncanny argued that the doppelganger starts in childhood as a comforting guardian spirit. But as we age, it flips, becoming a terrifying manifestation of repressed thoughts that completely disrupts our ego. It ends up as a bringer of death, which mirrors exactly what ancient folklore has been warning us about all along. Section 6. The Unsolved Edge.
While the vast majority of apparition sightings are solo experiences, which perfectly fits Brugger's TPJ misfire theory, there is one massive anomaly in the data that quietly challenges the whole thing. Remember that subset of 34 corroboration cases from the SPR archives? Well, Brugger's 2001 review completely ignores them. The reality is up to 30% of reported apparitions are what we call collective visions, meaning the phantom double was seen by 2 or more people simultaneously. And this perfectly illustrates the eerie, unsolved edge of this explainer. Official science can completely explain the solo sighting, but it has never formally addressed the one experience that folklore, clinical neurology, and the private journals of world leaders all agree happens. If seeing your double is purely a spatial glitch, confined entirely to the dark wiring of your own brain, what exactly is happening when the person standing next to you turns, points, and sees it too? Think about that the next time you catch a strange glimpse of yourself out of the corner of your eye. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep looking into the terrifying world of autoscopic phenomena.